Yeah. We don't need intros or bumpers or
No.
thumbnails or
No.
we just hit live. We get out there, grab a hold, let the people come in, sell out the monitor, start working, brother. You know how it is. How are you, bro?
I feel like shit, dude. I have like a
Yeah.
sore throat. I'm very tired. My back hurts. Anybody who was in the self-made Discord last night knows that I'm like in just I am ravaged right now. And
Yeah.
what I should have done today was rest properly. Following that, rest properly, heal my body up fully before going to work. But I'm a man, you know what I mean? And men do what they got to do. Men go to the road, you know what I mean? Men get back on the road, get in that fucking ring, and it's like I haven't been around JHP in a while, you know what I mean?
True.
And it was just time to just get back on there and just get after it, you know what I mean? Injuries be damned.
It's a weird thing to compute for me. And I'm sure it's the same for you. Like, it feels like we haven't done a show for a while, but we have. But we haven't done like this specific show,
Yes. I mean, it's a real thing though, Like, look, it's cool to create pre-recorded content, Like those specials are awesome. And last one felt like a weird end of an era, but there's just something about getting out there in front of the live audience, you know what I mean, and just doing our thing. And it's been a while. I felt like it was starting to, like, from a business standpoint, I felt like we were starting to draw and sell some tickets last time we were doing this thing.
We were, which is why we stopped. It was getting too popular.
I figured, because it's like the first time we did this, it did like a nice, like, humble little house, And then, like, by the third, fourth one, people were starting to, like, buy tickets to this, and we were, like, selling out, like, venues, and it's like, this is supposed to be in front of nobody.
Yeah.
Like, right now, let me check this live viewership. We're at, like, 72.
Yeah.
Ideally, like, it stays here,
Yeah. It got aggressive. There was one super chat heavy show where you were getting asked, like, what the plans for SmackDown were, and it was a little...
Yeah. People were like, what are Triple H's thoughts on LA Knight? I was like, what are you doing, man?
But it's been a big day. It's been a big week, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of that Netflix stuff, because...
No, fuck that.
Last night, I'm a big ratings guy. You know this about me, right?
Yeah.
And that NXT number dropped. And as you know, because I'd announced it to you privately as friends, I'd sort of came out and brought this to your attention.
Yeah.
I am working on, and this is news, folks, but he was aware, I'm working on a direction in 2025 where I'm an NXT guy. I'm working on it. I'm crafting it. I haven't quite figured out what my agenda or angle will be because I don't want to actually watch all of it.
Mm.
Like, maybe I don't watch the male matches. I don't know yet. But that's what I'm working on. And as soon as I said it, bro, 2 hours later, that rating came in, and it seems like I'm not the only one. That was a big day for the world, I felt.
You know what's crazy, Joe?
So, mate,
I hadn't watched the previous 3 weeks of NXT. And on a complete whim, I was like, let me watch this New Year's Evil. New Year's Evil. Whatever. Pop it on. And it opens with Julia and Roxy. Actually, let me go backwards a little bit. Novi was watching this show while I was at work. And he tweeted about how he watched the opener. And he was basically like, oh, thank God I get to leave after the opener. And I said, yeah, man, that's a smart move. And he's like, all right, hold on, let me stick around for the second match here, And I said, oh, no, it's beginning, And he, like, watched the whole thing. So I quoted him with the video of Dave Chappelle going, look at him. He loves it, And he admits, like, you know what, NXT guys, like, yeah, all right. And so I popped this shit on. And I watched Roxanne and Julia. And I have quite a good time with it. And I'm thinking, all right, easy out, get to turn it off now. And then I find myself watching this women's four-way. I'm like, all right, whatever. Sloppy women's spot fest. All right, do what you got to do. And then by the end of the match, it's like, this is kind of coming together a little bit. That wasn't too bad. And then the trios match happened. And I'm like, oh, this is definitely going to fucking suck. I'm like, oh, shots.
Nope.
Tatum, Paxley, and Gigi. I'm like, this is going to be a pile of shit. This is going to be horrendous. and like,
3 stars, legitimately good.
And I was like, it's kind of tight and energetic and enthusiastic and charming. And I was like, wait, that was kind of good. And not only it was good, it was like eye opening in like a, should this just be what Shotzi does now type of way? Like, wow, is this group like, is this grouping just like, is this grouping Gigi's ticket to the main roster something she hadn't had to this her entire NXT run? A ticket to the main roster?
It's not get hasty, but I do like the act. I think the act was good. I do think it's important we don't share the ball though, or distract ourselves from the real story. Just watching a clinic from the enforcer JC Jane, almost like an Arn Anderson-esque sort of glue performance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was so excited about this. I sent Ibou some voice notes about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you watch, I'm not knocking the talent, but a lot of the talent in NXT, you can see when they're thinking about what they're going to do, you know, when they're like, all right, I'm now doing this. Sometimes some of the talent in that match, God love them, you could see them even like counting their steps, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of growing and you know, developing their young talent. But JC Jane is such a contrast because she's always on. Like, she's always selling with her face. She's always doing something. She's always in character. She's always being JC Jane, the rock star or whatever the hell. And it really stands out in matches like that because she's kind of on an island in that room. I'm not saying the other women didn't kill it. They did a good job. But I like, not even doing the beer. I was saying to you, like, dude, JC's really gotten good. Seriously, good for her.
Yeah, it's kind of insane how it happened. Like, because we were just kind of fucking around on here. Like, yeah, she's not that good, but she hustles, you know, and she's like kind of good now. It gets crazier, Joe, because Alexis King match happens after this.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
Well, I watched this, right? And it was like shoot good. And it was like kind of gritty and physical. It had like shades of Steven Regal versus Finlay.
All right. When you say shades, like small, very small, thin shades.
Well, in the sense that it was just kind of like ugly and physical.
Yeah.
Like it, like literally they were hurting each other. I was watching
Dempsey. Dempsey's great.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like part of his issue is like Shawn Michaels doesn't know how to present his in-ring in the sense that like Shawn will be like, all right, you face Javon Evans, and it's like, how the fuck does that even like look? And the answer is like weird, you know. But I kind of quite love that whole group. I mean, Tavion and Miles are sick. So
awesome.
So I'm into it. I get why Regal. So Regal saw this group, Joe, a few months ago, and he was like, I'm into these guys. I want to get invested in this. And he started like showing up to the PC and shit. And even just not even just fully just because like it's his son. He just like really likes the kids. And at first when I heard that, I was like, come on, Regal, grow up, dude. Like just grow the fuck up. But the big man, Darren Matthews, strikes again, I guess.
He knows ball, bro. He knows ball.
He does. Anyways, so I guess my conclusion is this show was like broadly pretty good. And more than just being like pretty all right. There was like a charm to it. And it felt like a wrestling show, which is like the weirdest collection of words to say for NXT. But it felt like a professional wrestling program. And in ways that the Monday show did not. And it was kind of weird and surreal. And then I watched Dynamite on Wednesday. And I want to let the public know. I was obviously very compromised and tired and beat the fuck up. And distracted by our Discord chat, which is making a bunch of memes. But I thought that show was like a bit boring in places, and it is a matter. It is a case of like NXT kind of catches you off guard when it's all right, whereas AEW, like you look at that unbelievable roster and the matches, and it's like if the match like is closer to its floor than its ceiling, it's kind of like all right, well, okay, and so it's, you're not blown away when you see like a 3.25 on Dynamite, for example. But say all that to say, like I thought the show was just kind of broadly fine, and I find myself in this very weird position where I refuse to publicly praise NXT on the timeline, but I will do it here because no one's watching, and I'll simply say, this was the show so far this week that made me feel a thing. Is what I'll say. I'll say it made me feel briefly. Now I don't know what happens next week. Out of the Mud faces Fraxium, which will probably Fraxium might make those guys look like Aussie Open for all we know.
Yeah,
So.
maybe. It's an interesting thing. So you and I don't watch NXT closely, but you and I have generally been, you much more aggressively, but we've been on the same side of the argument of like Triple H versus Shawn as a booker, because we generally, our taste, I think, leans more towards the sort of steady hand than it, like sort of. But I will say, just watching bits of NXT and comparing it to Monday, it was an example of where like steady and competent, isn't always. Sometimes like doing like this is a smart, this is a very professional approach to it. Like sometimes wrestling does need to just be kind of dumb and weird, dude. Like I think
was
actually,
say, like, dumb and weird,
yeah, we lose track of that sometimes. I think
it's because I'm too old for all the herky jerky sometimes. You know what I mean? But then, like you said, it does stand in contrast to where when dumb and weird works, it's kind of fun and it feels like daring and ambitious. And I think dumb and weird with a cast of characters that's actively improving before your eyes is kind of cool. And that's what's happening. Is like it's a dumb and weird show. It's often pretty stupid, but like there's all these like young wrestlers really just trying their best. You know what I mean? And they're getting better.
Spirit, bro. It has like you also get the sense. One of my favorite things about any wrestling show is when you get that sense that the roster kind of has that like chip on their shoulder. Like we can do this.
That's what I got from the women's match. Like I'm like, I'm watching it like this is gonna fucking suck. This trios match, right? And felt like they were like really motivated to just go out there and go crazy. Did you know, Joe, that Nick Khan and Paul Levesque were front row at the show?
I did. Yes, they showed them, and Nick Khan, as always, made me laugh out loud with his just sort of that one face he has in all settings.
Doesn't make any other face. No.
Yeah.
I went out of my way after that, actually, Joe, to ask the town. I was like, "Have you ever seen Nick Khan laugh?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "All right."
He's terrifying, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he unsettles Triple H quietly.
Probably. Who would? I mean, that's a pretty scary situation to be in, bro. And seeing how that guy moves,
Exactly. And to that point, imagine you're a developmental talent wrestling in front of Nick Khan. Like, you're probably like, all right, we got to wrestle like our fucking lives depend on it.
I would pretend I'm injured, bro. I'd get in the ring beforehand and be like, oh, my hamstring's gone. I'd get out of that shit. No way. The lights would be too bright.
I'm going to give you guys an LNG exclusive. Apparently, when Lola Vice walked out, Nick Khan was like, she's going to be money.
True.
Just said it very bluntly and then never elaborated.
I mean, fair assessment.
I know this because Nick told Hunter told Sean, and Sean told a talent that told me. So there you go.
Sean probably just gets really excited and just sort of just hollers it, just yells it.
Oh yeah. He doesn't even know what the fuck's going on. He's just happy to be here,
Yeah. But a quick question. I wanted to talk to you about this. And
what's up?
I don't know, like Raw has been reviewed like 100 times over at this point. You've reviewed it twice on big platforms. So
and actually legitimately reviewed it twice this time, because usually on the Russell Pierce Raw review, I don't review it, but I actually like covered it. Yeah.
We don't need to relitigate. The one thing about Raw that I thought was fascinating, legitimately, considering how selective they were with who got on that show.
Yeah.
I am amazed that Drew Mac Jey Uso match made the cut. And
very odd.
Yeah, both guys should have been on the show. But like a singles match was such a strange choice when they've shown such a lack of chemistry in the past,
Yeah. I literally tweeted, Joe, when the graphic dropped, I literally tweeted, there's never been a good Jey Uso Drew McIntyre match. Yeah. And
strange.
There's never been one. And then beyond that, it's just an odd play call in general. The other funny part, Joe, is I think that they just wanted to showcase and flex the entrance of Jey, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. You could have just done a tag.
Yeah.
And the other part, and I already ranted and raved about this on the podcast, but okay. You want to showcase Braun Breaker and Tiffany Stratton sitting next to each other waving, right? Now, with these two talents, Joe, you have two legitimate true blue performance center successes. Braun is like 26. Tiffany's like 26. They're both legitimate, just like college athletes that got into the business through the PC. They're both title holders on the main roster now. Tiffany is the women's champion. Braun is the Intercontinental champion. And they're both over, Joe. That's a legitimate success.
Yeah.
They should be so proud of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to showcase those people to casual eyes, you know what's more eye-catching to you, Joe? The prettiest moonsault ever, or a blonde girl that waves at the camera? You know? What's more eye-catching? Braun Breaker doing that cool run around the ring before he kills the guy? Or him looking at the camera going, hey, hoo-hoo. It's like...
To be fair, we did still get the prettiest moonsault ever. Jacob hit one in the opener.
No, he did. You know what's the cool thing Jacob's doing now? That weird like shimmy jig dance that he does that like when he gets
kind of like it's like a boogeyman deal, isn't it? Isn't it a boogeyman deal?
It's godly. I started doing it myself. Unfortunately, it's pretty beast.
What do you reckon? I thought about this the other day. This is one of my rare correct opinions I had. Last summer we were talking about Gunter.
Yeah,
and I said my concern for him as world champion would be that, like, someone find this for me so I can prove it. But I said my concern for him would be that he would sort of be like second to whatever the like main Punk angle or whatever would be.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. I said, I'll tell you what, I reckon I was right about that.
Well, you know what's funny, Joe? that wasn't happening until he got into the Judgment Day universe in like November. And the problem is Judgment Day verse in 2023 was top of the card because the stable was shoot good. I actually just tweeted about this, like about the WWE stables. You know, 2023. I think, Joe, this stable, the 2023 Judgment Day, Joe, legitimately, I think they're going to be historically underrated because they're one of the most versatile heel stables I've ever seen in the modern era, and they're an agent's dream. You had the tall powerhouse guy, Damian Priest, who was being pushed. You had Finn Balor, who was the singles worker type that could be in singles title matches. Because if you notice, he's regressed again from year to year, from 2023 to 2024. But in 2023, he could give you a 3.5. He can't even go to a 3.5 now. But nevertheless, Finn Balor, credible, veteran, singles guy, right? Priest, tall enforcer, pushed, right? Rhea Ripley, badass, superstar, super over women's wrestler. And then you had Dominic, who was a heat magnet, and then JD McDonough, who was, the guy who could be the bump dummy. And in this unit, you had a agent's dream, because no matter what combination you use, Joe, somebody could create chaos on the outside. Somebody could interfere. In all these matches, Rhea Ripley would usually do a move on a man for a big pop. Dominic, if he got his ass whooped, huge pop. JD McDonough, he could just throw him around and like a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? And every match. And depending on what combination of the top two guys is in there, it'll typically signify to you if they're going over or they're losing. Now, if the Judgment Day are losing, then typically they're going with a unit that does not include Priest. If they're winning, Priest is in it. It was just a very versatile group, and they could do TV. Now with this current unit, Joe, see, that Judgment Day was a 55-win team, and you could throw them against the bad guys. This Judgment Day team, they're not as big time. They're not as over. They're not as versatile. Judgment Day tags last year rocked. Judgment Day tags this year are super average. Balor can't do it anymore. JD's trying his best. God bless him. Carlito is deeply unfortunate. Dominic doesn't have nearly the same heat he used to. Fans kind of pretend to play along and boo him now. It's not the same visceral anger he had when he was fucking bullying Rey Mysterio. It's totally different. I say all that to say this. This unit is very mid-card. And so if what's it called? Gunther finds himself in the orbit of these people, it's automatically not the top angle. And I thought that when he was feuding with Randy, it felt like the top thing on Raw. When he was feuding with Sammy, it felt like the top thing on Raw. And when he got stuck in this universe, it was like, all right, let's just see what's happening with War Games, I guess.
Sammy was still, it wasn't the top thing though, was it?
But it sure, okay, maybe not, but it felt like
it was respectable. Yeah, it was respectable.
It felt like a main event program, I guess is a better way to say it.
Yeah.
His recent stuff has not, and I'm curious to see what Gunther does the second he comes back. CM Punk obviously named him in his promo when he was like, "I'm coming for Gunther, I'm coming for Cody, I'm going to win the Rumble." I'd put a pin on that if I was a fan, and I'll see where that goes.
No way. Seth's winning the Rumble, I think.
I think I'll say this.
I think you got to throw Seth that. I think Seth eliminates Punk to win the Rumble.
I can see it. You know what's fascinating is I'll say it here. So if it happens, I'm just a fucking beast. I pitched an angle to creative, Joe.
Oh Jesus. Yep. who's Bron Breakker beating now?
This is what I gave him. I said, look, Andrade's made it through the transfer portal on Raw.
Yeah.
John Cena wants a big challenge. He wants to test himself. And you let him and Andrade wrestle for 15 minutes on Netflix Raw. And Cena is showing flashes of the old self. He even busts out the goddamn top rope attitude adjustment. And the story of the match is, what better representative of the athletic, gifted athletes of today that John has to keep up with, the task that he finds himself in, than Andrade, Joe? Just look at him and look at how he moves and what he does.
I like it.
No zippier, no more athletic wrestler than him, right? And so you do a match where he's going back and forth with Andrade. You can see him selling with his face like, man, this is a lot to deal with. This is a lot to keep up with. These guys are shooting threes. They're running one-man fast breaks. They're dunking all over the place. They're jumping from the free throw line. This is a different type of athlete. And what I was going to do, Joe, is Andrade was going to kick out of John Cena's entire holster. And Cena's going to look like he's at wit's end and really fight and really try. But ultimately, he was going to lose to Andrade. You see how I did two things in this pitch, but
this is like me pitching Uncle Howdy beating.
This is for the record. This is how Paul Heyman pitches things he wants, But I sold it as John loses, and the message is, man, the Rumble's coming up, guy. The Rumble's coming up. What do I have to do? And he's gonna be he's gonna be disheveled. He lost. He shakes Andrade's hand. Andrade celebrates. Commentary's putting it over as like, this is the WWE that John Cena finds himself in right now. It's a new WWE. It's a talented WWE. It's a daunting WWE. You got Jackie Redmond walking in there talking to John. John, how are you feeling? What didn't work out there? What happened? And John is just going to talk about what he saw out there in the ring. And basically said, look, like I said, Jackie, it's going to take a miracle for me to win the Rumble. I did my best. I just got to be better. I got to figure something out here. I don't know what, but I got to figure something out. That was my pitch.
Hopeless. You're a hopeless romantic, but you are. I mean, come on, dude. There's no way. I mean, I love Andrade. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, but he's getting beat by Shinsuke Nakamura right now.
Well, that was a do us this favor, kid.
Yeah, but you should have if you'd have gone with Braun, while it would have been shameless, I would have at least kind of gone, do it with Jacob or something, bro.
So, you know what the reaction to this pitch was?
Go fuck yourself.
It was, I like that a lot. I'll show it to Hunter.
Yeah, which means this will be a good story to break the ice later.
Now, Joe, what are you gonna do if it drops a graphic? Oh no, it'll be Adam Pearce posting a video on his Twitter. He'll be like, "It is official tonight on Raw on Netflix. John Cena, the 16-time world champion, against new signee Andrade. It is official."
I can see him doing the match. I don't actually know if that's a good idea either, to be honest. But
I think they'll have a good match. Andrade had a good match with Nakamura, and he's the worst wrestler in the fucking world.
I'm not saying it would suck. I just don't know if that's the way to get John ready for a year of wrestling. Like,
really?
I think you got to ease him in, dude. He's not like he's like a natural mechanic, He's not like
you think throwing him into Andy is like throwing him into the fire immediately, like just kind of.
Yeah, I think you just would pop for him looking kind of clumsy. And that's what your real agenda is here. I see through your games. He's got to have a year, bro. I think you got to like shoot for that in like May, Like
the bump that John would take on the back elbow that Andrade does would be so fucking funny. Him falling to the side, Like,
Chat's saying, I agree with Chat saying Ludwig Kaiser. Like, that's very steady,
That feels like super likely. That's makes me mad. Like, that's gonna happen. Like that's like so gonna happen.
Because he can work as a heel in a way that's very like meat and potatoes for John,
Yes.
Simplify it for him.
Kick him in the back, look at the crowd and be like, "Is this your guy?" Oh, and the crowd boos, and John is kind of staggering around.
Andrade he'd have like a US Open Challenge match with Cena. I don't know if Cena needs to be having those matches right now.
I think it'd be sick. I don't know if you noticed this also. Again, not to like relitigate the Raw Netflix conversation, but I personally went off about like the company's mentality when it comes to quote unquote attracting the casual viewer and feeling the need to like make it a Hulk Hogan Undertaker show and shit. And just, I'm like, do what like brought you to the dance, you know, your boot period happened because people like your characters. They like your show, you know, don't do a different show when you have this bigger audience. And I don't know, have you seen the card for next week, Joe?
Yeah, I saw, didn't they advertise at the end of this week's show? Right?
They advertised some of it, I think. Yeah, like Lyra Dakota, Penta, Chad Gable, Balor and Priest are gonna have a no DQ. Kaiser and Sheamus are gonna have a red chest match, and they're doing Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio versus the New Day. And in a weird way, hilariously, the phenomenon amongst the fans. First of all, this show is going to be very, very much so better than the first one. But the phenomenon amongst the fans, it feels very similar to like when AEW Twitter does this, where it's almost like they haven't used the word, but it's like Hunter's back to booking for the sickos again. And it's just
I saw some of that, definitely.
It's amusing. It's just amusing. I don't even have like
it's part of why the premiere being that way was a bad idea is that if you've not watched wrestling in 10 years and you hated the show, you're probably not going to watch next week. If you loved it, you're never going to see another show like that again. That's not a normal wrestling show.
No, exactly. That's what, Joe, like literally, like, plus, I made this comment on one of the shows I was on, but a hallmark of the modern Paul Levesque Raw is there's typically like one serious head-to-head promo segment that's very, very steeped in like continuity and lore and shit. And it's typically like Sami Zayn going full Mick Foley, you know, in one of these segments.
Yeah.
And like, I made the argument that a casual fan might not know everything he's fucking referring to, but I'd imagine like on some level it would resonate, just the emotion, and they'd be invited to look up certain things or inquire about things. And also, I think that we shouldn't insult the intelligence of people. Wrestling isn't that complicated. I think you can just use context clues to figure out on some level what the conflict is about and be like, oh man, these guys are intense. I want to see them fight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought like that, because I was talking to them after, and they said this to PW Insider, and it annoyed me. They were like, the show basically being like as cursory as it was by design, because they didn't want to like throw anyone off. And it's like, fuck that, dude, just do your show.
Well, to that point, and maybe I'm wrong on it. I could be wrong because I was on the air, so it's different.
Yeah.
Did they run a video package like throughout the night about Punk and Seth?
Yeah.
Did they really? When did they do it?
I think.
See, I was wondering this, and I'm not saying it didn't happen because, again, I was on the air and it was 1 to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I remember them showing Punk backstage warming up and Seth.
Yeah.
And I was wondering after, did they do a video package? Because, like, the whole point of that match being a big deal is that it was like 10 minutes, like 10 years of. I swear they didn't do one, dude. I'm almost convinced of this. I could be. I'm getting old, but
we all are, Joe.
Wouldn't that have been something to catch people up on?
Yeah, right. Maybe I'm hallucinating or something. I feel like they did at least one, but I don't freaking know. All I know is I think if you want to hook one of these people, man, do one of your typical 3.5-star Sheamus red chest matches. Just drop them right into it, you know.
I mean, the real thing, you know, that was, and I experienced this anecdotally, and I think we also saw it in the media. Like the thing that actually caught on from the show was Hogan, which is hilarious in a range of ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then like every smarty pants is like, you know what? I gotta say this, Joe. There's certain people in wrestling Twitter that like, I don't know how to put it, but like they think they're like geniuses when they say these things, but they'll be like, I think they should run with this and make Hogan a heel, and it's like, shut up, dude. Like, just
that stuff. Yeah, imagine wanting to see more of that also.
Yeah, just stop. Even Mark Henry called him out today.
I saw that, and like Mark, God love Mark, but you know he's generally been pretty happy to like play ball with the folks at the WWF. So
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Like, no offense, it'd be more in line with recent Mark Henry for him to be like, I think the fans need to show a little bit more respect for a legend like that, and da 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 da. But he was just like, nah, man. Like, of course you're gonna get booed, dude. You know.
he's
So
just and it's like I saw our boy Stevie Richards today was saying that he was like, well, Los Angeles, you know, it's California, you know, it's a liberal. It's like, dude, the Undertaker's got a huge like. This isn't complicated. Like, people don't like Hulk Hogan, man. Like,
yes, they don't, and it's like you just said, bro. Undertaker is very publicly MAGA. He literally did an interview with the guy with Donald Trump, and the fans were like, yeah, it's Undertaker. And then you got Hulk Hogan, who did all those things. Maybe there's an extra element here. Oh, now I know what it is, Joe. It's the fact that he takes pictures with Nazis every 2 weeks, called himself on record a racist that he never apologized for, and is just, again, like I said, a shoot racist. So, again, maybe people just don't want to see that guy. His shtick, Joe, think about this. The Hulkamaniacs that were Hulkamaniacs in 1985, bro. That's the Fox News demographic now. That's like I go to like a Trump rally in Indiana. I go to Turning Point USA shows. I listen to fucking Tucker Carlson. It's like it's literally like, I'm not even meaning, it's the over 50s that like there's certain things that they consume culturally, and like wrestling isn't really an active weekly part of it anymore, let alone being a thing that they go to the venue for. And that's not me even saying that WWE doesn't have like huge red portions of their fan base, but it's a different right. It's not that right. It's like the Rogan right. It's not the Fox News right. It's a real something that's serious. Like UFC,
you're right too.
Yes, UFC is like the Rogan right, the Tate right. You know, like the Manosphere right, the Fresh and Fit right. You know? Actually, the Fresh and Fit right. That's a lot of like hip hop Twitter. But anyway, and then like WWE is very similar, but like the Fox News like old white right, like they're not the ones going to Raw. You know, they're the ones like behind Trump at a rally on like on Fox, holding a sign, just waving and smiling and shit.
There's gotta be a cooler alcoholic beverage to sponsor that show than Real American Beer, bro. Like, I'm not a drinker. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that's like a hit brand. There's got to be something cooler to get on Netflix, right? Surely.
I won't name the talent, but there was a certain talent. The energy was funny backstage, and a certain talent opened a Real American Beer because there was a table full of them, and there's a thing the boys were doing throughout the night. We're like, "Who's gonna take one?" And a certain guy just innocently, without thinking deeply about it, just like picked one up, like, all right, and just like kept pushing, opened it, drank, and was like, and I was gonna do an impression, but it would make it too obvious. But the town was like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
The funniest thing about all of this was how diligently Jimmy Hart just continued with that flag. Bro, he wasn't even shook a bit. Hogan's up there stumbling, and Jimmy's just.
What makes it the godliest part is Hogan knows he's getting booed, so he starts to go like he starts to name like good grapplers like Randy Savage and shit, and it didn't change anything, you know.
Nope,
didn't change anything. Well,
the boos got worse when the people realized it was a full-on ad. That made it like the crowd then was like, okay, I wasn't going to boo him before. Now I totally want to boo him. Like it was everyone's like boo him. You know?
That's why you're all going to be joining with us Hulkamaniacs with Real American Beer, and on Netflix he's taking up the shit. People are like, fuck off. It's tragic. It might have been Ian Drew Dice Clay. Someone tweeted a picture of Hogan when he was like walking backwards, like back to the thing, and like his shirt is hanging around his legs,
like a skirt. Yeah.
And he's like kind of hunched over with his knees like all bow-legged. This is a pathetic visual.
It's what I mean, like, dude, Austin. To say he was and is flawed as an individual would be generous, but he always has avoided shit like that. You know, so far.
Yes.
Maybe when he's 70, he'll do that shit. But like I think he's got a pretty good like detector for when he knows they're gonna ask him to do some bullshit. You know,
Joe, he was asked to do this Raw twice in the last few weeks. The first one was no, heart emoji, basically, and the second one was just no. And the second time, he did say, "What will I be doing?" And they kind of described him like, "Oh, well, you know, Taker's going to be there, Hogan's going to be there." It was a quick, just hard no. Because
Yeah.
I think his brain detected, oh, it's one of those legend show bullshits. Fuck that, you know. So
He seems to have gotten with the Kevin Owens match. It seems like he's even more particular about what he does,
yes,
which I do admire because I actually thought once he did the Kevin thing and it went well, I thought he was going to kind of have the bug,
and just be around and stuff.
but
Yeah,
he instead approached it like I rolled the dice once and lived to tell the tale.
yes.
I ain't gonna keep playing this stupid game, like that's
That
enough.
is impressive.
Yeah,
The only thing that made him consider getting off his couch, I'll say it now because who cares? But after Brawl Out, Steve Austin hit up CM Punk on some like, hey, what happened, man? Like, you good? And are you leaving that company? What's going on? And Punk was just kind of like, I'm not sure, da 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 da. But the gist of it was, Punk was like, hey, if they do release me, do you want to work at Mania? And he was kind of like, yeah, actually, I'd be down to do that. And he started legitimately training just in case. And then he pretty much got word like Punk was like, I'm not gonna get out of my deal. And he was like, oh, that's a goddamn shame. And they remained in touch. But when Punk essentially circled back around like in Mania 40 last year, it was like, hey man, like match, what's up, buddy? And he basically was like, it's been a year, kid. That's a lie when you're 60 or whatever the fuck he said. But yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, sure, I don't know where to go with that because it's gonna get clipped and it up on Twitter in like 10 minutes. So I'll just say it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. I would like to have seen what they could have done. But
Kale's gonna go on the timeline and be like, Punk was gonna work who? And then someone's gonna reply, what? And it'll be like the LNG stream. And then it's like a link.
It is crazy though. Just I often think about because we were covering it in real time. Like, do you remember when we would speculate upon like Punk back in WWE? And we'd all kind of talk about slightly measured in the sense that surely there would be so many hurdles for him to overcome that it would have to be a very sort of a supporting role,
Yeah.
And I was watching when I rewatched it with my family, the Netflix show. I was just thinking it's unbelievable that he was the main event. He was the main event winner of that show. It's I think it's actually a little bit understated, like how kind of golden he's managed to come out of this. It's a little bit it's a little spooky, to be honest with you, what he's pulled off.
It's godly. It's a notch on his belt that people aren't talking about. And he's like become like the man of the place again, which is insane. And his mentality shows I'm gonna wait out a lot of this bloodline shit. And eventually I'm gonna just like be more interesting than it and just make it out on the other side. And that's what's happened. And again, it's just crazy to see. I'd imagine you didn't watch his press conference, but in his press conference, he basically was talking like, I'm the man of this fucking place, which you should do as the talent anyway when you're a main event dude. But it was just like surreal to watch all of it. By the way, Joe, did you hear about how like underwhelmed Hunter was by just like the bloodline stuff in the presser?
I heard about it, so I didn't see it. I heard about it, and I thought it was. I mean, I don't know what he thinks, obviously. I mean, I was kind of surprised by how down people were on that part of the show, to be honest. And
it was honest. The match was good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I'm not. And this, I promise, I'm not even doing the Solo bit here because Solo is what he is, And Roman,
right.
I find it to be just remarkable how little Roman seems to care about the stage and the circumstance. I mean, it's this Netflix period. He went, I'm going to just wrestle like I wrestle because that's what I think. That's the way to go. That's what he does. So if you hate that, then I get it. But I thought it landed like pretty much exactly as expected, if not a little better. Then like I don't know. I just was surprised people hated it so much. I thought it was fun for the most part.
It was less boring and meandering than I expected, to be completely honest with you. I think this is an example, Joe. It's a victim of just doing a match that people have seen a lot because I was watching it in the Discord and it was Chris O'Bred, our good brother, who was he pointed out. When the smoke and mirror stuff began, I was like, this is actually pretty well arranged and pretty fun. And he agreed, but said like, but they do this every match though. And I was like, yeah, they do. And that's why it's kind of like, I could see someone finding it a bit tiresome, but it was well done in a vacuum. And I actually thought the match was good, to be honest with you. And like one of those rare times where like the formula worked for me,
Right.
But
I will say, I do think it was the right. if you're gonna run back that formula, the first match on Netflix was a good one because it did have a great deal of energy on the finish. I mean, the finish was very exciting. If you're God, I know the casual fan thinks Tyrant, but like even when I watched it about my family, like that was my mum's favorite thing on the show, the run-ins. Like it's exciting and it's fun.
Kevin came in, made me stand up, and it's Kevin, and it's Cody, and it's all the chaos and Jeopardy, and then the near falls, and then even the parts where the ref is knocked out so they can't count the count. It's like, oh, like it did feel very active, So I was into that. What's it called? So yeah, it'll just that tells you right there that people are just kind of tired of it. The Hunter part I was referencing, Joe, is Hunter was just talking about the show, right? And I kid you not, he basically was like, I just love the conflict that Phil and Seth crafted. And he's just breaking down like what Seth and Punk are as artists in this medium. And he's explaining like the media, like what they do as an art form and how it's the best thing and da-da-da, right? And he goes on for minutes about this. And he was like, he picks up his paper. He's like, elsewhere on the show, I mean, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa. I mean, look, they do what they do. Man, the fans love that. Liv Morgan, yeah, she lost to Rhea Ripley. Man, great win for Rhea. And it's like, what?
Well, he doesn't. I mean, I guess that's not his creative, right? So he just kind of.
So do you think subliminally he's like, oh, that's Paul shit, fuck this bloodline shit, and with this one because he's hands on talking to the guys and this and that, like he's.
I mean, yes, that's like definitely what it is, right? Like it's Paulie stuff. I mean, and you can't really. I mean, you have to let Paul do his thing because it's like look at the results. I mean, it's been a huge success, but I doubt he's as connected to it for that reason. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but
what I find annoying is. For all my issues with that story, Paul gets up there talking to the media, and he would convince you this is like on the level of The Godfather. Just the way he talks. He's straight face, no, like you can't tell if he's like laughing inside or not, looking right at the media, and he's like, there is no more compelling character than Roman Reigns. There is no more compelling angle in pro wrestling than what Roman Reigns is doing. What we have created here in 3 years, it is taking this industry to heights that have not been seen ever. The money generated because of Roman Reigns and the bloodline. And he's talking about it.
But people still sell. This is the crazy thing.
Yes.
So he gets up there and he'll be like, this guy right next to me needs to win an Emmy. And I will read that and go, God, Paul is just a beast. Like, look at this dude,
Mm-hmm.
And people like sincerely, like explain why he's not going to win the Emmy, and it's like,
yeah, that's interesting.
Guys, like Paul Heyman, like you're not supposed to take Emmys. Look at him, listen to him. Have you seen his face at ringside? Like. Don't sell for this shit, dude. Like,
yes.
He's not winning. Do you really think you need to like tell the audience why he shouldn't win an Emmy? He's not going to win an Emmy, bro. He's on SmackDown.
You're supposed to go, all right, Paul, and just wave it off. You're not supposed to.
Or laugh. Yeah.
This is the same guy that was telling people in 2019, Buddy Murphy is going to be this industry's game changer. He will main event a WrestleMania. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
The only person I believe that was Buddy.
But that's what made him so dangerous with good talent in it. Like he can, if he can convince you that, and that stuff matters, man. It's
yeah.
I mean, I think there are a bunch of wrestlers. Like if they had the chance to work with Paul and they could be convinced the way he's convinced others, they'd be like superhero. We did the paywall show last week. We were talking about Eddie Kingston, and we both came to the same conclusion of like. Mm-hmm. If Eddie had Paul Lee in his ear, the fire that would produce, and Eddie's great, but like if Paul Lee would build that guy up in his own head so much, like he'd be ready to go into with a rock, bro.
He concluded this. Eddie doesn't know how good he is.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
He doesn't know how good he is, and it's crazy. Hilariously, I thought about that watching Omega Gabe Kidd, because Gabe Kidd did some Kawada cosplay towards the later stretches of that match.
Yeah,
and it just made me think of Eddie, and I was just like, man. Eddie.
Dude, that Kenny Omega performance was like
next level.
I mean, to have that performance in any setting is crazy, but to do it after that long off when it's that serious of a reason you're off, I mean, I said it on the air, but like we've both always talked about Kenny, but he's one of like if you said he's your greatest of all time, like, I'm not pushing back. Like I don't know if he is mine. I don't even have one at this point in my life, but I wouldn't push back because he's one of one, dude. That guy's a freak of nature.
That match was amazing. And the thing about Kenny is he's just remarkable. His brain operates on a level above most wrestlers.
Yeah.
And he can be great in so many different ways. And I made a tweet that was seen as incendiary or disparaging towards Will Ospreay, but I really mean this, and I explained it on air later that I wasn't trying to be so. I made a tweet where I said there is still an artistic gap between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. And at the time of when I said it, it wasn't like, man, he just shits on this guy. It was more like, wow. Like I'm watching the match, right? I'm like, wow, like this guy, Will, whose output is so consistent and so consistently high on pay-per-views. A guy who like shits out these like 4.5-star matches. Literally, right? That's Will. I'm like in awe of how staggering his consistency is. And that guy isn't Kenny Omega. That's kind of what the tweet was.
Yeah.
Because Kenny, like, it feels like he can, like they say in basketball, he could beat you in so many different ways. It feels like he can do so many different matches and be incredible at it. And still, even though like we knew the score, we talked about it on the 12 Minutes of Christmas, it still just blows you away. I'm watching this guy live at like 5 a.m, coming off diverticulitis. He's been gone for like a year. And he comes back and he's like, hey, so this is what you've missed. And look, it's me, the guy who's like better than everybody. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words, but he
is.
Yeah.
I would say, this is not disagreeing what you just said, but there's a trend I've noticed, which is that because Will's proponents are so loud and because he gets such glowing praise from certain circles, the pushback now, there's a really weird thing that's happening where fans become selling analysts for only his matches. Now, let me be clear. There are some people that are selling analysts in general. That's their favorite thing about wrestling. You know, like they break down the selling, the psychology. They're consistent in that regard. And everyone watches wrestling for different reasons. Those people can do their thing. But there are some people that will not talk about selling at all until it's time to post a Will Ospreay gif. You know what I'm saying?
Can I be honest with you? You know what I think it is? I think there are certain people, right? They see the effusive praise that he gets in certain circles. Yeah. And they feel a disconnect from that level of praise.
Yes.
And they feel like they have to articulate why he doesn't connect. And I think in some cases, they don't really even know why he doesn't. But they're like, all right, well, I guess I could just, let me scroll back and see if he sold the leg here in this last minute. And I feel like people are like, I have to explain why I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure why I didn't like it, but I didn't. Well, he doesn't fucking sell, so shit. We'll do that.
There's a lot of spotty selling, dude. Like,
yes, all over the place.
Yeah, we're both Punk guys. Like, I hate that finish where he takes a superplex and gets up and hits his move. Like, did he sell? Yes, but it's still for me is like it jars me because it's a superplex.
You always. I knew. You know, it's funny when I was watching that match. I was like, I know Joe's gonna get annoyed by that because I know you don't like the. You typically don't like the superplex Falcon Arrow counters that people do.
Yeah, because it's a superplex.
Yeah, and like you have to tell your brain when Seth does that like the superplex part is a setup spot that doesn't have any impact essentially.
Yeah, and Punk absolutely recognized that because the way he sold it afterwards. But it still takes a leap for me to me, this is the thing with selling is like a bad selling is when it actively stands out to me when I'm watching a match in real time. Like,
yes,
I'm not someone who wants to go through a fine-tooth comb. If I'm watching a match live and it's like, Jesus, he was just working that arm, that's when it's bad, you know? And I think with Will, a lot of it you can explain with him being like a freak of nature because he moves like a freak of nature, you know? His offense is explosive and absurd. I don't know. I can kind of look past a lot of it. That's just me. I'm not even a huge fan.
I don't have a lot of moments in Will matches these days. I don't have a lot of moments where I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like typically, it's a fiery shootout between this freak of nature who's a maniac. And if you notice, Well, what he'll do, he'll just eat a movement and he'll just pop and be like, oh, and then he'll do his thing, and it's like, all right, cool, like,
He definitely goes heavy on near falls for me. Definitely that I can like. So, last night's match, I would have had a really good match last night, and I love watching Buddy work in general, just because, like, even though he doesn't have great matches often, I just think his work's so sharp.
It looks like it hurts because he looks terrifying.
Yeah, and he's so big, right? Like, he just pops me. And I enjoyed that match a lot, but I actually thought if they went home like a couple near falls earlier, I think they'd been better off, because I'm increasingly resenting these finishes where it's like, like Buddy like grinned at him before he got. It's like, I don't know if Buddy Matthews needs that death. I think he can just get elbowed in the face and pinned,
It's just Rev Proism, Joe.
It's
Rev Proism.
Yeah. Like, it has to be like a cinematic screenshot, like it's
Rev Pro main event. I figured this out. You know what the Rev Pro main event style is, Joe?
What? I don't want to know. I don't think. What is it?
It's the most annoying amalgamation of NXT TakeOver combined with like New Japan main events.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to combine those two things. You get a very annoying match if you do that.
It was incredible when Maxwell Jacob Friedman came through and had like a slice of Americana main event. did like ref bumps and crowd work.
Oh my God. God bless.
That was a very funny day. But yeah, it's an interesting, but nonetheless, Kenny Omega's great. That was the point. We have stuff in our. We should get to this super chats, because otherwise we'll forget, and then we'll.
People send us money.
Yeah, we haven't even said hip thumbs up. I haven't even done the Bob bit. Damn.
Well, you should smash that like button, guys.
You should, yeah. All right, let's try our best here. Given the melancholic ending to 12 Grins, is this like one night stand or something? Fair question. We were always pretty aware we were going to do these, though, right? We were always pretty aware.
Yeah, you know what this is actually?
What's that, mate?
This is 2003 MLW in ECW Arena, where Sabu works like Raven, or Sabu works like Sabu works like a Raven type, and it visually looks like ECW, and Joey Styles is commentating, but it's MLW.
That sounded really insulting. I don't know if I like that comparison, to be honest with you. I was kind of with it, and then you said Joey Styles, and I went, well, I don't want to be associated with him.
You know what's funny? When I was like 9, I thought he was the greatest commentator I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. And then you started, like, you turn your headphones on or something. Started listening.
Joey was like godly, right? And then I was a teenager, and I was like, Joey's entertaining and fun. And now I'm an adult, and I'm like, I watch ECW back, and I love ECW. It's my favorite promotion of all time. But he'll be like, Ray will do a Hurricane Rana, and I'm like, Hurricane Rana. You don't see that on the other channel, because and like it just, I don't know how to point it, but like he like gets really snobby weirdly, and I guess at the time it made sense, right? But like snobby tribalist Joey Styles kind of came off like a poser, because it's like, your knowledge is only based off what you're reading on the sheets, dude. You're not watching all these tapes either. You just kind of like, I don't know, like well,
in your defense, when you were a young man, he was still in vogue with the hardcore fan. And when he had that promo where he shot on like Jim Ross or whatever he did, I can't remember.
It was on Waller and Sports Entertainment.
Yeah, people love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it feels like something changed collectively, because I don't see anyone praise him now, really.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you ever see anyone like still do the Joey Styles thing? I don't know. Ryan just did it in our chat. Shout out Ryan. But do you ever see that often?
It's because there's a bunch of Joey Styles on like modern wrestling commentary. Like Corey Graves tries to do a Joey Styles bit. Dude, did you? He fucking called Julia. He's like, kind of reminds you of Wrestle Kingdom Nakamura. I was like, shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna have to do something I never ever wanted to do. I feel bad for Corey Graves, man. What the fuck? This dude was so indispensable to the booth. They had him on both shows, and then they asked this guy to do play-by-play, which he'd never done in his life.
Forgot about
And now, suddenly, he woke up one day, looked out the window, and he's fucking on NXT. What?
And
what's the deal, bro?
You know the best part of it is, Joe? he clearly never watched it because he came off bewildered at just how Booker T is, which is God. And
it impacted the vibe between Vic and Booker, where they like sound like they're gonna fight each other. You know. I don't know, bro. It's stunned. Like, I'm not even saying Corey's a great announcer. I prefer him to McAfee for sure.
Oh, my! But you know what? I already missed Joe Test. Joe, I gotta say, Joe Test on SmackDown, right? Yep. With some of the roster additions, with the show in soon going back to 2 hours, you may have to consider. You may have to consider relaunching Blue Brand.
The 2 hours thing was big.
Test.
If we can get our hands on the Wyatt 6, because otherwise, and because you know why? Because otherwise, I'm gonna have a split gimmick, can I?
You want to combine? You want to consolidate the gimmick?
Yeah, because if I go all in on the Wyatt 6 thing, then I can't do the Blue Brand bit if they're on Raw, because it'll be too hard to follow for the audience.
Joe, could you imagine Joe Tessitore calling a Gable Andrade match?
I want to see it. Yeah, that sounds great. But,
or better, Gable and AJ Styles, Joe Tess.
Oh, bro, where is AJ Styles at, man?
He's shoot hurt, which is very annoying. It's very annoying. They asked him, and because he's Joe, they asked him if he wanted to work Logan Paul at Mania, and he was like, "Yeah, no problem." And it's like, I guess
we can't let that happen.
The thing is, Joe, he would give that fucking twat his most connective, logical.
Here's the problem, honey. I'm going to be in Vegas. My last time seeing AJ Styles live cannot be against Logan Paul. I'll jump out the plane, bro. I ain't doing that.
Joe, you know one of these main eventers has to get him, dude.
I know, but let it be one of the 8 wrestlers I don't care about. It doesn't have to be the one I do care about. Please. Damian Priest, your number is being called.
Speaking of Damian Priest, Joe, I wanted to make a funny tweet last night because have you heard, Joe, that Tom End has left the territory?
I'm not going to speak on this. I don't want to make an Instagram video about this, but I kind of guessed that when Will Ospreay was like, "You don't need to have a follower, bro."
Yeah, that was very like oddly targeted. You know,
he's going to be in the Rumble, dude. He's going to get a huge pop.
That felt, Joe, like when The Rock was on TV and said, "Austin can take his ball and go home."
Yeah,
but this WWE is my home, and it's like, all right, dude, you know. And Will basically went like, "Oi, bro, you don't need that fucking slag, bro. Being your leader, bro. All right, bro, be your own man, bro." You know, like that's what I felt like. So, yeah, I'll tell you this, Joe. I wanted to make a tweet. I was gonna say, Damian Priest, we have found your WrestleMania match. I feel like either Priest.
No way, no chance, no way.
You know,
there is no way he's getting a Mania singles match, brother. No chance.
I'm gonna boldly say it right now, just because they need to fill in. They need another like a guy to throw against some of their guys. I'm gonna say this right now. Malachi Black is gonna face one of these guys in the singles match. I don't know which one.
Well, let me tell you something. If he does, and Andrade is in some 12-man ladder match, he should be mad as fuck. And also, LA Knight, I'm directing you, like, this is direct to you here, LA Knight, okay, publicly. You cannot let Malachi Black come in, and they're already fucking on you over there, brother. I see what's happening. Don't let Malachi Black get involved in that.
So did you see how mad Knight looked on Raw?
He should be mad as well. I'm telling you, dude, this is bullshit.
Joe, they told him, "We need you to come to TV on Monday." And he knew what was happening. And he was like, he read the card, right? And he was like, "To do what?" And they're like, "We just need you." And he was like, "Am I in an angle?" And they're just like, "We need you on the show. We want to put you on the show." And he literally, I kid you not, he was like, "Is this one of those Mark sitting in the crowd things?" And they're like, "We're not sure yet." And he gets to TV and they're like, "We want you to sit in the crowd and watch Raw." And he's like, "Fuck off."
He had to wait like a year to win the US title, and it was all so could put over Shinsuke Nakamura. It's nasty business. But look, in all seriousness, it would be pretty cool if Malachi went back and just was like perfectly fine. That'd actually pretty beast. I would respect it. So I'm rooting for him because it just, it's funny.
So here's the thing about it. He is washed. Like, he's shoot washed, right?
Yeah.
But this is going to sound weird. So, like, the WWE audience isn't going to make fun of him when he wants to do all this weird little, like, just weird shit that he does, right? And you know who's going to love that even more than the WWE audience? Paul Levesque.
Yeah, he's going to feud with Karrion Kross, bro.
Well, here's why Hunter's going to love it, Joe. There's nothing Hunter loves more than someone taking booking pressure off of him by being able to just plug you in the show in a weird little video and not have to worry about you for 3 weeks. Because Hunter likes to do the revolving casting with people, right? And certain towns get mad and yell at him over it. But if Malachi Black is like, what, wrestle once a month and just tell my story in other weeks? Hell yeah, dude. I got 3 videos in the can. So there's that. But here's the thing. Malachi Black being a 3-star wrestler in WWE is how do I put this? Him being a gimmick guy that has his Malachi match in that audience with that crowd, where like they'll probably get into like just the shtick. It could work.
What is the shtick though?
I'm a mysterious, spooky man that sits down.
Well, the thing about Malachi is it's obvious he has many ideas. I just don't know if any of them overlap in any sort of way. I don't know. I still don't really understand what the House of Black was. I mean, I think it was a cult.
That's a great. You know what's funny, Joe? These are very fair questions that like no one ever asks.
Yeah, they just go, he's spooky. But what's this? What about him is spooky? See, he has mist.
Joe, sometimes like you'll see these weird House of Black scenes where like they're like walking through a cathedral or something, and you're like,
yeah,
what's going?
He's like an eye pervert and stuff, and he's also like a Muay Thai striker.
Well, I'll say this. This is just me explaining from Tom's personal point of view. He had plans to reveal his like background, and he was going to reveal legitimately that he trained in that fighting style in the mountains from people.
Right. I mean, again, I want to be clear about this, folks. All of this is beast. I want to be very clear. I have no ill will. I think this is very funny.
What are you gonna do, Joe? If you can somehow be a 3.5-star guy in the WWF,
I'm all in, bro. It's funny. It's another story for the the history books of a guy who like brothed his way out of a deal. I think it's fucking awesome. All
right, what's funnier? Penta being shoot good in WWE or Malachi being shoot good in WWE?
Malachi is funnier because I actually think Penta's going to do well.
Right, like Penta doesn't have to be that good to do well. Yeah.
And also Penta's like default will still be like exciting because they don't have like 25 guys that do Canadian destroyers,
Right. So like chubby, slightly slow Penta doing it, people are still going to lose their minds,
And he is cool as fuck, and Penta.
Yes. You know that they're framing him as the best luchador in the world.
That's just the correct way to do wrestling, unfortunately. Like that's just
that's so like 1984.
It's incredible.
I can picture Jim Ross just on commentary being like, "Folks, we've been talking about him for weeks. I went and signed him. I interviewed him. We've scouted him from Mexico, from Japan. It's the great Penta."
I love that, by the way, we did one. This is what the comment was. It was about One Night Stand, and we just did this. I don't even know how we got from 8. But anyway, the Renegade, member 4 months. We appreciate, we love you. Hope you've enjoyed Gold thus far. And as the Sultan, I actually like The Rock's promo. Feels like he knows he'll be hanging it up soon, and is also really sad he can't do the Cody match this year. I don't know which one, the NXT one or the Raw one. It definitely feels like the vibe is like, that may have been it, bro. That might have been the last stand for the final boss, which is sad. But I'm glad we enjoyed it. We made the most of that, didn't we? So,
I refuse to give it up yet. Did you see the NXT promo, Joe?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was hammered, right?
So he was shoot drunk.
Yeah.
Number one. He apologized to Nick Khan profusely for cursing 19 times on television.
It's very good.
Yeah. The fact that his promo was essentially, those of you who are complaining about my promo on Raw, go fuck yourself. I'm ahead of things. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. And then was like, all right, so NXT, interesting place over here, guys, right? Like NXT. Yeah, man, some of you guys gonna make it, some of you guys are gonna get fired. If you smell, it's like
it was kind of cute. Like he came across like a lunatic, but like
yes.
it did have a charm. The NXT one that the Raw one did. The Raw one felt more like he was doing sort of an Oscar speech.
Oh yeah, dude. From a pure viewing experience, his NXT promo was bad, but it was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome. He legitimately just didn't plan for anything, and when he said it, I thought he was just joking. He just didn't plan a promo. What arrogance! Like, he just like, oh, I'm the Rock. Walked out there, looked around. It's like shit. He kept asking how much time I have left. He really didn't know what the fuck to do. He's like
NXT, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I think he was like, it's fucking NXT. It's 1,000. Who gives a shit? I could fuck around for 6 minutes and walk out.
Right, though. Like we just put NXT over, but that is such a small house for The Rock. Like anyone who sees The Rock in that setting, dude, that's awesome. Like
halfway through, Joe, he's like, yeah, The Rock was Flex Cavana in Memphis, you know? What are you doing? What are you doing?
He's beasting, bro. Thank you, Anas the Sultan. We love The Rock. This is the name that Monty gets very excited about. What tag team title reign is worse? Judgment Day with Finn and JD or Private Party's current reign? I feel like I've seen neither, to be honest with you. Like I honestly can't speak on this. What's worse, Ibou?
Well, there isn't anything to see with Private Party. They haven't done anything, Joe. They've had they've had 2 defenses, if I'm not mistaken, and both of them they were the backdrop to a dissension storyline from the other team.
I feel so bad for those guys because when they won the straps, it really meant something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess so. What Finn and JD just haven't defended them, right?
It was very weird. They beat Awesome Truth and then they like defended it like 2-3 times, and they had a lot of matches. They just didn't have a lot of title defenses. It's very odd. And then like it got so like much of a piss take that they brought it up on TV, and they did that WWE thing where like they blamed the wrestlers for this, not even though it's creative. So, yeah, because Adam Pearce is like, no, I've had enough of this. You guys don't even defend your goddamn tag titles. I'm sick of it. I'm taking over. We're gonna get the belts back on track. We're gonna make you guys defend it. Finn's like, oh, I defended it when I want to defend it. And I was like, no, I'm the boss here. I'm like, y'all book this shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it sounds terrible. I did feel bad. Thank you for the suture. I did feel bad for Private Party that, like, when Bob Lasher and Shelton went over, my like immediate raw reaction was like, "Oh, they're gonna kick the shit out of these." I felt bad.
Yeah,
like I had like an instinctual Private Party, a dead pop, and then I was like, "Oh, I like Private Party. Why did I get excited about that?" I don't know.
I'll put it to you this way: it's because it's like I'm like searching for scenarios in which Private Party retains. You know what I mean? Like I'm like calculating my brain. I'm like. Could Swerve this? Could this guy maybe? And my brain keeps logically leading back to no, they're just fucked. Like it's over. Like this it is over.
Bob Lash. So you'll see like these wrestlers, these legendary wrestlers will come up, these like non-work rate guys, and people will be like, they couldn't hang today. Meanwhile, Bob Lash goes out there on Dynamite and has these like 2 and 3/4 star matches, and people are throwing their babies in the air, bro. People they're so happy to see him, you know. They're like, it's fucking Bobby Lashley.
What's even godlier is like even Shelton is like, I know what this audience wants. I'm gonna give him more of what this audience wants. I'm gonna have a fiery, cool match. 100%. Bobby's like, I'm going to do everything that I did on 2021 Raw.
Yes,
and they're gonna like it, and then they liked it, and
they like it.
It's crazy.
It's proof how much of that stuff is just myth, isn't it? Like, those guys, dude, they can't be on the same show where Ospreay's doing all the moves. Bobby went on after Ospreay and had like no problem. He just did his match. No one give a shit. Like everyone was like, yeah, we like Bobby Lashley. This is good.
That's such a great point, bro. Like, some people try to like fucking fit in and do shit, and it's like, stop being a fucking geek, man. Just play your music, you know.
And the crazy thing with Bob is like, he isn't even like quite as explosive anymore because he's 50, like of course.
Yes.
But he just looks like that and he's got a reputation, so everyone just kind of goes, fair enough.
Yeah.
it's awesome.
That's point, dude. That's why, and this is a crazy thing to say, transplant 97 Hall and Nash into AEW and they would be over.
Yeah. Oh my god, they'd be over huge. 100%. Yeah.
Be over. And because Tony's Tony, he'll give them dudes that'll create motion for them and just fucking work their asses off.
They'd have good matches, yeah.
Yeah, like Tony would be like, you'd hear this Sunday on Collision or Saturday on Collision. It's what the fuck were their tag names? Oh, it's the Outsiders. Yeah, I don't know why I blanked it. It's the Outsiders versus FTR.
Like, that match would have been unbelievable because that was a revelation for me. Like when I did a little bit of a deep dive on the Outsiders as an actual wrestling tag team.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I know obviously they're super cool and I love Scott's work, but I didn't think they had many good matches. Dude, their matches were good. Like, they wasn't good necessarily in a like 4-star sense because they wasn't that long often, but they have a lot of good TV matches together.
Yes. Matches that don't even chart on Cage Match, but like, Joe, when I was watching New Japan, like the 90s New Japan in the pandemic, you get a lot of Hall and Nash in like the 96, 97. They just do a lot of big dome shows, and every one of their matches is good.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Keiji Muto and the Steiners versus Hall, Nash, and I think Chono?
Yes, we did it on a Grin Grappler. I can't remember. I think it's Scott Hall, Grin Grappler. Yeah, Scott's great in that match too.
Shoot good match.
Yeah, and Scott is like right out of rehab because that's his first match after rehab, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure, and he's like really working hard in that match.
And mind you, the Steiners are like, this is 97. This is not peak Steiners, but the match just rocks. Oh my God, Joe, did you see that tweet? I might have sent it to you. And I like the guy, so this is not dunking on him because he's a mutual, but like it was so bad. You see that tweet of that guy who was like, I think he was trolling, but he replied to Chris and he said something along the lines of like, "You're not missing anything with 90s New Japan, bro. Don't worry. It's the 90s was all Japan's decade. You didn't miss anything with New Japan." I wanted to punch a wall.
It's New Japan's fault though, bro, because they don't let people share the footage. It's just
See, Joe, you check your timeline. And every day there's some fucking West Side Gun edit to Misawa versus Kobashi.
It's always West Side Gun.
Yes, bro. It's always like some video to an Alchemist beat of like Misawa taking like a head drop or something. And then, the most surface level ass people or indie wrestlers are just quoting like 100 emoji. And it's like, all right, man. And then I can't counter this with a Liger video.
No.
I can't counter this with Keiji Muto or Otani or Kensuke Sasaki or all these awesome dudes. And it allows people to just assume New Japan's history is Inoki, nothing, Inokiism, and then Okada. And it's like, no, that's not the history. So
it's a shame. There's people generally like just convince themselves that the 90s was the All Japan decade, and that's like adorable, but nonetheless.
Dude, like New Japan in every year of that decade drew like 4 times more.
They were the top drawing promotion for much of that decade, dude, in the world.
In the world. Joe, numerous, not just one, like 5 houses of over 60,000 fucking people.
Yeah, it was different. Puro was different then. The reach of the industry was can't be compared. Amari says, if the pacing was much better, had a couple matches, had a big angle or two, took the fans for next week, and showcased some younger talent, then Raw this past Monday would have been amazing. Indeed, that would have been ideal.
Right. The hilarious thing, Joe, is I actually like a fair amount of the individual pieces of content on that show.
Yeah.
It's just that it was spaced out in a way that just didn't make me enjoy it that much.
The main one here I would circle, thank you for the super chat, but the main one I would circle is an angle to hook the people. Go and get back to shoot. They had an NBC special and a Netflix premiere, and they didn't shoot an angle on either show. I know they did the post show, I know that, but on the shows, just shoot some angles, just hook people,
It feels like the antithesis, Joe. I don't know how much you remember Raw 30, which was the 30th anniversary show they did in January 2023. That show had legends, and that show was excellent. That show opened with the trial of Sami Zayn, which was a fantastic segment.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's when Roman went, enough, Solo! And he's always about to kill Sami. Jay holds him. And it's the first time Jay publicly accepts Sami Zayn. And he's like, this guy's my family. He's family. And if you remember, and in the match, they had to defend against Judgment Day. Jimmy gets hurt midway. Pierce is about to wave the match off. Sami fills in for Jimmy. And then Sami and Jay win the tag belts. And it was like a 50-minute piece of business that was excellent.
Well, I think, and again, thank you tomorrow for super chat. I think, and I don't know this. This is my outside looking in stance on it. I think in history, 2023 will be viewed as the sort of creative peak. I believe that. I think when this era is captured, I think 96 is 22, 97 is 23.
Yes.
I really believe that.
Yeah, I don't know where this one's gonna go yet, but I do agree with you that like the 97 is 2023 in a couple ways. And I'm glad you pointed that out because I could see that in the thing where it's like when they document this and it's like, oh, and then 24 they took it to bigger heights and Cody finally won the belt, just like how Austin finally won the belt in 98.
Yep.
But like the hardcore fans are gonna be like, man, some of that good shit, man, was Money in the Bank, where the Bloodline had their Civil
the
War.
Judgment Day stuff you mentioned,
yes,
will be a big part of that too. Like those rotating tags, you know.
Gunther's IC title reign and the stuff he did with Chad Gable as a piece.
Yeah.
A couple things. Rey Mysterio and Dominic's feud.
Yeah.
2023 was low-key kind of sick, dude.
It was. No, that's where this thing really takes shape. Speaking of taking shape, Darren Walker said, "Are you excited for GCW's Hammerstein show?"
No, but I'm going.
I think that would be a fun time.
No, it won't.
Thank you, Darren. Hush says, Aleister Black, huh? This was probably sent before we did. It was actually. This was sent 45 minutes ago. Hush, I hope you enjoyed our 10-minute segment on Aleister Black for some reason. But we appreciate your super chat, bro. We hope you're well.
This may be an embarrassing admission, Joe. From 2019 to 2021, Aleister was like one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers.
Well, that was when you were an NXT pervert, right? We've discussed this, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, beyond that, I was a Paul Heyman Raw pervert.
Of course. No, we discussed this. Yeah, that was Paul Lee's bringing back the SmackDown 6 on Raw.
and he was trying to Jerry Lynn RVD him and Buddy, and I was like, oh man, we're back. as they're trading strikes to silence.
Those matches were good though.
Yeah.
They were good. You target me too. Hey fellas, long time listener, first time chat. Well, we appreciate that. Always pops me when folks, because I don't chat on anything I watch. Do you? I don't chat. So you always I see a lot of familiar names, and someone will be like, I watch all the shows, and I think, what's their chat name? And I realize there are many of you that just watch these programs, which we appreciate you also, and we especially appreciate this wonderful super chat here, and says, appreciate your work. Can I get your wrestler comments for Jacob Fatu, Daniel Garcia, and Kyle Fletcher? So
that's hard.
Fletcher's really interesting because his comp has changed dramatically. I don't like the Orton thing. I think it's lazy. But he is sort of becoming a weird hybrid of old and new, isn't he, Kyle Fletcher?
This comp makes no sense. It makes very, very weird, loose sense.
Right.
Current Kyle Fletcher is Jun Akiyama.
I don't know about all that, boss.
He's tall. He's fundamentally sound. He hits hard.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Give me some time with that one. I'm not sure about that. I'm trying to think. Kyle's really hard. Daniel Garcia. If you were doing the NBA scouting report, your best case scenario and the guy you want him to strive to be is Brett. There are many versions of Daniel Garcia's career that do not end up with him being Bret Hart, though, if we're being real. And I love Daniel, but that's a higher. But that's to me, if I was Daniel Garcia's coach, LOL, then I think that's what he should strive to be, in the sense that he has a sort of everyman charm and likability. He's a very good technician. I think you should emphasize that more. I see that in him. Again, that's the more favorable version. You brought this up to me before. We've made this before, right? This comparison.
Yeah. DG's TV matches are approached like 93 Bret Hart Raw matches.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very, very capable. I'm really intrigued how he goes on from here. Because he's in a good spot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's in a very good spot. Jacob Fatu is a freak of nature. I mean, the obvious one, and it feels lazy, but I think it's fair, is you kind of want him to take what Umaga was and, be able to build on that, because unfortunately Umaga obviously wasn't able to have a career as long as he should have had. I mean, Umaga was capable of being one of the greatest big men ever, and I think his peak was spectacular, but unfortunately it was short-lived, And that's the obvious. I mean, he's not as big as Umaga, but obviously he can do 101 things that Umaga wasn't necessarily. I mean, he did do, saying that, when Umaga was working All Japan, he did do the moonsault and shit, so.
Yeah, and if Umaga worked in a modern era, he probably would do the stuff Jacob does.
Yeah, I agree. But that'd be probably the best one. I get it. If it was lazy, stay in the family, but the family's very big, so.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I hope those are good. Kyle Fletcher was hard because I think he's in the middle of like evolving, so we'll see. But he's doing a great job. Really, really great. Lord Lambert, at least Punk's promo on the post show is beast. That would have been the best thing on Raw if it was on the show.
It was awesome.
On the whole show. Yeah, awesome promo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lambo. Cal, one of these days I'm going to hack into one of these streams and defend myself from these baseless strays. I keep getting jumped from all sides. That was a little nasty the way you named Cal earlier, I've got to be honest.
Shitting on Cal is so fun.
Yeah, I actually like Cal.
He's okay.
Yeah, fair enough. It is funny though when he live tweets the shows and it blows up.
Oh yeah, it's godly.
It was the one where it was like, no, Rhea was going to wrestle Bianca, and everyone was like, who said this? What happened?
Oh yeah. Here's a funny one. So someone posted the Raw card, right? And a guy found a guy basically found a graphic of Ray and Lee versus New Day, and everyone's like, when does this announce? When does this announce? When does this announce? It's for next week. And the guy replies, oh, Ibou said it on the pod, and people were like, oh, you just that fucking guy. And there's a lot of that. Yeah.
It's pretty rough. It's pretty nasty app.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of nasty app, I just opened it. I see Braun Reed post his foot, right? And said, upgraded from cast to boot, still no weight bearing, but hey, progress is progress. And Sheamus replies, hurry back, fella. I miss kicking your arse. Poor guy. He's missing the guy to do red chest matches with,
Yeah.
He's looking around the roster and he's like, Seth won't go for this shit, and I can't do it with Phil. He's like, what the fuck, man?
He's lost one of his toys, bro. It's brutal.
Yeah. Joe, in the summer, I kid you not, he had a circle around himself. Pete Dunne, Kaiser, and Bronson Reed. And it was just 6 weeks of him doing his red chest match. And you could tell he was just in heaven. He's like a kid at Christmas. He was so happy.
Yeah. And it really was like being a kid too, with Pete Dunne being so little. It's like pretty took him back. It's very, very fitting. Very fitting. Riley said, Kenny has me excited again for modern wrestling. Going to definitely keep major tabs on his work. Kenny needs to have the Kobashi GHC run. My God. Imagine he just has like his classic run is still ahead of him. How sick that would be.
I mean, amazing. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him.
Classic. His form suggests that's exactly what he intends to do, right? So
he's going to be the 2025 Wrestler of the Year.
Very possible. But the last time you called a Wrestler of the Year case and I was on the air, it was Nick Nemeth, and you made me very mad that day. So there's not
Holy shit.
Thank you, Riley. That was a big day in our friendship. It was a year ago, and you and I we were on board, same team with this Nick Nemeth thing, and we were going to work on it over the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, on the air, just went rogue, and you went, I think Nick Nemeth might win Wrestler of the Year, and I just thought, he's fucked it. He's absolutely fucked, because there's no way he's winning Wrestler of the Year, but you'd then, at that point, you'd put us in a position we couldn't go back. We'd lost.
So it was almost like, you're already sitting in a passenger seat, trusting where I'm going to drive this thing.
Yeah.
And I took a left turn where I wasn't supposed to, and you're like, dude, we're going to a dead end.
And the worst thing was, Monty wasn't against it. So it got crazy. So then I started just distancing myself.
Quietly.
And I did the old, well, it took Shelton struggled to adjust to New Japan, that kind of thing. And
which was smart. That was a good one.
Yeah, because I had to get away from it because it was just wrestler, he's 45 years old. He looks great. God love him. But there's only so much you can do, He's been in the World Wrestling Federation for 20 years. It's difficult, man.
And not to be a geek, but how many 4-star matches did he even have last year?
Probably none, but he tried.
Did he have any?
I did the hour Iron Man is like an hour wrestling match, so but it was pretty admirable considering like it was an hour wrestling match in TNA. But I don't know if it's a 4-star match necessarily.
The way you worded your review of it was godly.
Yeah, I just a very polite guy. Just a chill guy. Joe Hulbert, tell people how much of a fine wine worker Jay the Switchblade White. I refer you to the Dax DX collision banger. I was there for that match. Great match. I like Jay White. I've always liked Jay White. I finally watched the World's End main event on like a 4-week delay or whatever it's been, and I guess it isn't that long. It's only been 2 weeks, but I thought he was like the best thing about that match, which granted is like being the sort of fastest man in a race with the Hulberts, but
can you admit the match was good? Can you admit?
Oh, the match wasn't any good, but
okay.
I thought he was good in it. I don't know, man. I think
I thought you were going to ambush me and be like, oh, I quite like that 4-way. I thought it was
it weren't any good. Right. I think Jay White is a very good wrestler who, with good booking and agenting, can be like quite easily be great. Take of that what I was implying there can be taken however you would like. I think he's very, very capable of being great. I think right now he's very good. The babyface thing, I think he's actually done a pretty good job of adjusting. His finish is over huge, dude. But it's hard because he hasn't, as a babyface, to me as a gimmick, he hasn't been given much chance. He's just wrestling matches as a babyface. It's difficult, I think. So that's my take on it. But I know you're not a big fan.
No, Jay White's pretty good. I'm more of a David Finlay guy myself,
Well, you can have both, You can have both. The rich lineage of Bullet Club leaders, I like Jay White, and he was a wine wrestler too. He was on the list.
He's losing a bit of his wineness to me.
If Hunter likes the angle, get ready for that call. He's not gonna like that angle, bro. It was fucking Andrade beating John Cena. Ibou's got no chance. He's gonna be working. I think your best call is hitting up Tommy Dreamer.
Who, me?
Yeah, you could make some magic over there. Thank you for the super chat, by the way.
Yeah,
you could make some magic in TNA, dude.
Me talking to Tom Dream.
Yeah, you could do some stuff. We're winding down here, folks. I know Ibou's got to go. Trixie, Ibou, are you still soft launching, leaving Cody FC? What's this about? What's happening now?
So our audience, Joe, they think that I'm soft launching like a departure from Cody FC.
Oh, well, you are. Yeah, you are.
What, do you sense this too?
No, you are. You are doing that. Yeah, you are.
You just decided to join in. You don't even know.
No, because you can't. You know where your bread is buttered. You're drinking Pepsi every night. You can't do both, mate. You know it as well as I do, don't you? This city ain't big enough for the both of them, bro. You got to pick a horse. Get on.
It depends how good. If we get the Gunny match soon and it's like godly, then I'll be in the soft launch. But the key, what it is, Cody's more reliable. But it's not as fun or dangerous as being a CM Punk fan. To
very
me,
corporate, very, very corporate.
Cody, he's gonna work hard and he'll have the good match. Phil, he might just lay an egg, or he might have something godly, and that kind of mercuriality is enticing.
Yeah, there's a rebel element that pops you, I think, too.
Yeah,
Cody's, he's got the suits. That's not you, dude. You're EC Dub, Thank you, Trixie. Remember, for 2 months. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed going through 2 months. It's very funny that Showroom and I went from Dome main event to Great O'Khan feud. I wonder why. I wonder how the Dome main event went. Surely it was good.
That was the most mad you've gotten watching wrestling in a long time.
I gave that match 1 star, and I don't give a fuck. I ain't taking it back. I got 1 star. Cage match. They ain't even kicked me off. Let's see if it kicked me off, actually. Cage match. Let's see my account here. I'm fine. They haven't even mad at me for it. 1 star. Outrage, disgrace. I thought it was a terrible wrestling match. Terrible.
What did you? What did a cage match give the match?
Let's have a look here. It's got one of my most recent ratings, right? I'm just scrolling past my Kevin Nash Kurt Angle review. 6.63.
That's too high. That's way too high.
Yeah, it is long, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah. Oh my! Wait, Dave hasn't rated it yet, right? I haven't
no.
listened to any of Dave's Dome reviews. How much you want to bet he's giving that match 4 stars?
He'll give it 4. Alvarez's take was the work was good, but it wasn't worth the runtime. Which for at this point in Alvarez's life, that's pretty stiff, to be honest. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was a genuinely bad match, and like I have nothing to gain from him before we're back because I don't care enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for being a member, brother. We love you. Will, that Punk photo of Roxanne after she lost popped me. I didn't see this. Was this new Instagram content, Ibou?
Yeah, Punk was at NXT again, and he took a picture where it was just him like smiling with his thumb up, and Roxanne, and he was in between Roxanne and Cora, who were like pouting with their heads down, like all sad that Roxanne lost.
I wish that match had more time, bro.
It was I thought it was quite a treat for the time given.
It was very good. Yeah.
I honestly think they need to run the third one at Vengeance Day.
Yeah.
I was speaking to someone in the company about it, and I said what's going to happen to this, and they said I don't know. I'm not an NXT creative, but they went on to say like if it was up to us and me, this person who I will not name said like I'd run them back in a Queen of the Ring final.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. Sounds like you pitched, to be honest with you, but nonetheless, thank you, Will. My guy Tom Talks Rubbish says, "What's up, Maze Bill? Shout out to you, Tom. I hope you're well. We're doing good, brother. Hope you've enjoyed the show." And as the Sultan, would Charlotte politic for Andy to be a top smack?
I'm gonna explain.
These questions are the craziest because these questions are basically just asking people to get in trouble, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that. I'll say this about Charlotte. She's already begun getting in her bag. Is the best way I can put it. You were kind of busy and like you're fucked up and stuff on Friday, Joe. But I kind of hinted at it to you. But do you remember I told SmackDown got rewritten in like 4 times last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of machinations going on that people aren't realizing yet. Yeah. A lot of people being positioned in certain.
There was that paywall show that we did, and
yeah,
you were being cryptic, and I immediately was able to pull the Band-Aid off. I see what's going on, even when I'm not looking.
It's great. It was crazy how you just like realized like what was at play here. You know,
you can find out what we're talking about. There was a 6-hour show last week we did apparently. So
yes, if you sift through that, you might find this 5-minute thing we did. Yeah.
Yes, you can do that by signing up for LNG Gold. But you won't get the answer to this question because we didn't discuss this. Sorry, Anna Sultan. We love you though. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Too much danger in the game right now. Bob the Builder, this is the last one. I have a feeling Punk wins the Rumble. I don't know. I don't know about all that, Bob.
I don't think CM Punk is winning the Rumble.
No. Thank you though, Bob. All right. I'm sorry for hurrying, folks, but we was talking about Raw for so long, and it was one of those things I didn't intend for us to talk about Raw. We actually hadn't really spoken about it that much personally.
At all.
So it was fun to it was fun to do it. But
we don't play shows, we just talk.
Maybe we just call it in the ring. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
I got a spare 5 minutes. Let's see here. Is there anything I really want to passionately talk about?
Yeah.
Anything I open up would take really long. I'll say this. All right. Shocker. Ibou type beat. But I don't know. I'll say this, man. Actually, how do I put this? I'm going to tell you, Joe, about a Puro show that you have never seen and will never watch. That's how I'm going to spend the next 2 minutes.
All right. Just know that we do have January 3rd All Japan. So be careful. We have 2 new super chats. So just keep that in mind in the time, all right?
I watched the January 3rd All Japan Korakuen show, Joe. And the last 2 matches rocked.
Yeah.
The first one rocked in a way that you won't give a fuck about. So we'll just we'll just skip that one. Yuma Anzai, who's their young guy that they're pushing out. You may have seen him a time or two.
I've seen Yuma. Yeah, I've seen him well.
He faced this big boy named Shotaro Ishino. And the big notable thing about this match, Joe, is we got Hardaway Blood, and Ashino legitimately knocked him out on a folding powerbomb, Benoit style. And
okay, well hold on.
Yeah. And he knocks him out. He doesn't kick out because he's knocked out. The ref is panicking. And Anzai wakes back up after about 2 minutes and finishes the match. And I went 4 on the spreadsheet. And it didn't get any better there.
I'm added to my watch list.
Yeah, Anzai and Ashino. I think Cage Match gave it like an 8.4 or something like that.
Yeah.
The other thing, the main event, Joe. Have you heard of the Saito brothers ever?
Yes, I've seen them, and I've also just seen who they wrestled, and now I'm very excited about this.
They wrestled Daisuke Sekimoto and Hideki Suzuki. And Joe, I felt like I was transported back to 1989.
Okay, we need to say this quickly. If you've never seen Daisuke, like folks, please Google him while Evie talks about this because it will give you an idea of what he's describing. Because he has an incredible. The visual of him is spectacular. Go on.
Yes. And Joe, are you aware of how much of a brother Hideki Suzuki is?
Oh, he's a legendary politician and such. Yes.
Doesn't like to play ball at all. No. He's in this match with Sekimoto against these guys, the Saitos. And I thought I was watching 1989 pro wrestling, Joe. It's a lot of I'm making myself look good. It's a lot of brother and Waller wrestling. It's like what FTR and what the BCC were doing earlier this year, but like times 17 and way cooler.
Yeah.
And the match is actually like fucking sick. And they're sniffing each other. And the thing is, Joe, they're all tall. Besides Sekimoto, they're all really tall. And in Korakuen, it's just a great visual. It felt like I was transported to Puro like from 35 years ago. So that's one of my favorite matches of the week last week.
Sounds all. I mean, I'm if we could do an All Japan bit, I'm all in, dude. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Well, what makes it godly is Jun Saito, one of them, beat Davey Boy and won the championship. And I was like, I don't know about this. Then I watched him, and I was like, I'm in.
Can I just say, as your friend, I've seen you do some downright shameless things in your time. Your like quiet Davey Boy thing is one of the most revolting things you've ever attempted on the just in any public forum. I couldn't believe you were doing that. I really couldn't. You were like, and you thought you were like hiding it from people, but you wasn't. You were like willingly presenting yourself as like a Davey Boy Smith Jr. like truther, bro. What was that about?
I don't know, but you know what's crazy is I try to get Ashton on it because he watches All Japan. And like he'd be watching the shows live, and I'm like waiting for his report on like the matches, and he'd be like, "This Davey Boy tag is fucking awful." I'm like, "Come on, man."
You loved him, bro. You were all in. It was nasty business.
I thought he's gonna bring it back. You know,
based on what? Possibly would have told you that. That's insane. I just don't know. Nonetheless, outside the Heaven's Strand says,
"No, fuck it,
let it go, champ." Let it go. Yeah. The towel's already gone in. Let it go. He says, LNG Gold member now in the Fame Discord. That's what we like to hear. Appreciate the work you'll do and a happy late New Year to both. That's a wonderful super chat right there.
Thanks, man.
Super chat. I hear great things about the Discord, dude. So people are having it seems to be enhancing people's wrestling experience, which is very, very sick.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, Joe. A lot of people are being put on to new wrestling, and the one thing that's happening now that I'm really proud of is now people are just streaming for other people on their own. Like yesterday, before I started streaming Dynamite, this guy Seth, who's one of my mutuals, he was just streaming like lucha to people, like just lucha libre in general. And like there's a good like 15 people in there just hanging out watching it. And the community is like very, very solid so far. Like it's not toxic at all so far. And the cool thing is like obviously people have different fan leanings. But instead of being like weird about it, they just kind of like go to their channel to talk about the shit they want to talk about. And
that's the best way, right? Treat it like genres. Yeah. Just do your thing, enjoy yourself. Don't have to have fights about it. It's fucking pointless. Waste of everyone's time.
I accidentally brought an AEW scoop to the WWE channel, and people were like, "This is Fed FC, bro." I was like, "Oh, my bad, guys." And I just walked out and went to the right channel. I'm dead serious. I was like, "Yeah, so this is the plan for Dynamite." And they're like, "We're talking about Omos right now, guy, bro." And it's like, "All right, my bad, guys. My bad."
We're talking Dom Mysterio. Grow up. That's pretty sick, dude. I like it.
Yeah,
Real
yeah,
Boy Joe.
I like it.
Percentage Charlotte bitches out Tiffany at Mania. Hashtag Okada Kato 2.
95%.
That's not, let's be clear, that's not a scoop, folks. That's an answer to Broadway Joe. That's a rough estimate
Yes.
based on just pure
Yes.
gut feeling. Let's be clear about that. Do not
Yes.
aggregate 95%, please. Okay. Last one. Ray, did you see how mad Bob got when Hogan got booed? It's since been deleted, but he tweeted that trying him out was a TKO humiliation ritual. Poor Bob. Thank you, Ray. Poor Bob.
Do you remember? I forgot what day it was. It might have been the day of like. Do you remember that day like people were trolling Bob, and he tweeted something along the lines like "fuck you guys" and "fuck all this" or something like that.
Yeah, it was like when Trump got like shot out or something, wasn't it? I can't remember. And Bob was just like, "Enough with this shit," and we all kind of felt bad, and then just carried it on the next day. Assholes. Yeah. Oh well.
He got so mad about getting.
He's like the nicest person on the channel, which makes it worse. All right, folks, this has been Hanging with Hulbert. We would like for you to like the video and all that stuff, but at this point in the ball game, it is what it is. You know, we appreciate you tuning in. Very late notice. I saw AO in the chat at one point. The great JJ Williams. We've got Brainbuster in the chat. I will be back tomorrow night for the Grin. Maybe a show in the afternoon on Gold too. But the Grin tomorrow, we're deciding the nominees for the Golden Grinnies, which last year Ibou won Bootlicker of the Year. Remember that graphic? Bootlicker above your head. That was a great graphic. So we'll see who wins it this year. But Ibou, if you have anything to plug, any shows coming up?
What the hell? I think I'm glitching out.
You all right, mate? Oh my God, he's being attacked. Folks, Tommy Dreamer has heard of these talks of Ibou taking his pencil, and it appears we have lost my fearless co-host. I sensed the lag, but I did not think he was going to be whacked here before. Whoever asked the question that got him, please, you should feel immense guilt right now. Please contact your local authorities. This is what happens when you get asked for percentages about who Charlotte Flair is going to kill at WrestleMania. I'm going to wait for another minute or so in case he returns, because otherwise he may be quite concerned. I think it was Tommy Dreamer. He has a history of those kind of things, but it could easily have been. Here he's back. We have two Ibous. Let me take this one off and add this one. Hello, Ibou. Are you okay?
Yeah, I think my phone is like overheating.
Well, I was just asking if you had any plugs, and then it sounded like you got attacked. It was very scary.
Yeah, guys, if you aren't aware, I finally launched the Self-Made Discord alongside Rob and Chris and AO, and it's been a great community. We just talked about it. Follow at Self-Made PW and click the link in the bio to enter our Discord. It's been a ton of fun. We're gonna do all kinds of cool interactive things, including tonight. I'll probably start watching some of your match recommendations.
Shit.
Yeah, so join the Self-Made Discord. It's worth it. We stream pay-per-views, kayfabe that.
Beautiful. Legends back said joke up in Discord. There was negotiations weeks ago for a Hulbert night, but I haven't agreed a fee yet for that. I have to I have to sit down and really hammer the numbers out. But
Joe, you know what's insane? I told my brother you should just stream your Crockett stuff in there. And you know what he actually told me? Because he's in the Discord, he hangs out. He told me, "Are you gonna pay me?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, then no."
He is fucking awesome, dude.
He legit told me, like, if I'm doing that, you gotta pay me. And I'm like, "What? Come on."
It's funny, like you'd built your brother up a lot in conversation to me, because when we just would talk raps, like he would come up, you know.
Yeah.
But he's like actively improved upon my so he's just terrific. I just think every time he's on my timeline, it's something worthwhile. I think he's great. Awesome.
I will say his
the Scott to your Rick, bro. He's the Scott to your Rick.
His posts do pop me because I don't ever expect any of them. They're not like predictable posts, you know.
Yeah.
They're not like generic either. He just says things.
And he's also sincere. You could learn something about that, Ibou, you know?
I don't want to.
He doesn't just tweet names in quotations, you know? He gives he's genius, you know?
he'll unabashedly, Joe. Now he was like watching like what's it called? He was watching the Young Lion pre-show match of New Year's Dash just to do it.
He likes wrestling, dude.
Yeah, like, just thinks it's good.
See how long he lasts.
That's a good point.
All right, folks, sign up to Self-Made Discord. The guys are killing it. I'm very, very proud of them. We hope to see you tomorrow for the flagship, live and free on this very channel. If you want to see more LNG, go over, sign up for Gold. And especially if you want to see more stuff like this, there was a 6-hour stream, the last 4 hours of which were this conversation in ways that probably wouldn't be well suited to a non-paywall environment. So with that in mind, have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Keep grinning all how and enjoy this outro. Goodbye, folks.